Alright, so we have this hanger from Steph Curry. This is a very interesting one. Just get right into it. Strike Rocket Orion, first and foremost. Very interesting one. It doesn't sound terrible. I'm not sure if I've even used this before, though. So Orion piercing, strike rocket damage, obviously. The range and the reload, in my humblest of opinions, is very useful. Okay, so the reload, I would say, is probably one of the more important ones. The range does kind of depend. I found range to be very, very important in competitive matches because in a lot of cases when you're trying to stay back, most maps don't quite have the kind of... most maps don't really have great cover around the, like, 100 or... What is the range? I think it's, like, base 130 for Strike Rocket. 110. Yeah, okay, so that's even worse. You typically want a little bit more range than that if your goal is to be passive. That is why I typically use range implants. Just try to push me a little bit further than 100 meters because, like I said, most maps don't have good cover within like the 100 meter range. So a little bit further than that is very, very nice. I've found that to be very helpful competitively. Now, if you're playing more casual against casual opponents, it probably doesn't matter that much, but reload obviously just helps you get more magazines out. Damage is obvious. The shield pierce, you could argue, in fact, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use cooldown. And the reason is because the only shield that you're worrying about, so long as you hit them overhead, is the canopy. And that breaks very quickly, and you don't really need to worry about it too much. The Hunter's Mark will help you deal damage. It'll do a little bit of piercing, but I don't think the piercing is necessarily the most important. So we'll go with cooldown there. Alright, so the next one is Ember Gun TENGU, which is very interesting indeed. Not the worst TENGU build. I mean, obviously Revoker is better. My Ember Gun 8 is very, very weak, so what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna use a single 16 like that. That'll help me corner shoot better anyway. Typically for mechs that are like super, super weak like this, it is a good idea to have all of your firepower on one side. Most light mechs, just in general, a single 16 is probably better than two 8s, depending on the weapon that you're using. If you're using like, let's say maybe Gemini or Railgun or something with a really, really low ammo count that doesn't necessarily have a super quick reload like this does, then you would do better against, especially like multi-layered mods, you would do better to be using two slightly weaker weapons. But otherwise, piling all your firepower on one side is nice because that way you can get full damage output while, you know, only showing this side of your mag. In terms of the pilot, I will go for infinite stealth. So let's remove that and put on max cooldown. So for those of you who don't know, so long as you have adequate cooldown implant and this legendary Skystrike stealth duration, you can make it so that your ability comes back before your stealth duration runs out, and essentially granting you infinite stealth, which sounds really OP, but it's TENGU, so it's really not that good. And it does require you to just keep spamming the ability, which is not particularly ideal. I will use Ember damage and range, though, because TENGU, though it is a scout, is not super fast. Next up is Stormrack Nomad. This is a bit more of a serious build, but this is actually one that I really enjoyed using, especially as an Eclipse counter. And I'm frankly kind of surprised that more people don't use it. So let's go with Stormrack Reload and Stormrack Damage, along with ability cooldown and dash distance. When you have a dash mech, if at all possible, you should basically always be using dash distance implant, because it's just so useful. Dash mechs themselves are very honestly kind of broken just because they can cover so much ground in such a little amount of time. The dash distance implant makes that even more so. It makes it so you can cover even more ground, and it makes super strong weapons with little range, like Revoker, obviously. It makes those weapons really, really strong. But also you can just kind of get in and out of situations a lot faster. Next is Graviton Lacewing, which is a very interesting one indeed. I would not recommend sustained fire weapons on Lacewing, just in general. But if you were going to use it, ability cooldown, jump distance, Graviton damage, Graviton range. I think the Graviton range is going to be helpful because ideally you're going to stay mostly in cover on rooftops somewhere, and you may or may not need that extra range in order to reach certain things. And then lastly, Savant Solus, which before mods was actually really good. I really, really liked Savant. I mean, I still do, but it was pretty strong. It was very entertaining. Here, let's just auto-equip, see what happens. Damage, range. Okay, similar thing. The thing with Savant is that its implants, it kind of requires all of its implants, to be honest. And then let me, as the last one, let me use you. Okay. The problem with Savant is that it only has a maximum of 80 meters range, which is terrible for a guided weapon. For a weapon that is more or less, it's basically a passive weapon, right? It's mixed between like kind of missile rack and javelin rack, but it's a mainly passive weapon, and having such a short maximum range is terrible. So getting the legendary range implant especially is very useful. The reload speed is kind of long. The best reload implant that you can get is the epic one, so I recommend using that as well. The damage is obviously, important. That's the reason that you're using the weapon. So in terms of Solus, when it comes to the choice between cooldown, duration, and radius, I always prefer cooldown and duration first, and I usually start with cooldown. Duration is nice because it actually keeps people blinded for a longer amount of time. I mean, obviously, but it's a rather significant amount of time. It's like, so the base blind duration is 3 seconds, so with a max legendary duration implant, it can be almost 4 seconds, which is quite a substantial amount of time, actually. An extra second of being blinded can be pretty huge. But obviously, cooldown is much nicer. You can get your blinds out a lot quicker. The thing with the radius, I've seen quite a few people use the radius, and it's nice. Having the radius is what allows you to be able to hit people, blind people through walls and such like. The problem with it, though, is that you will almost never blind multiple people in the same spot, unless it's like a bot or something, in which case the bots don't really care anyway. But yeah, players don't usually bunch up like that, so getting multiple people with a single blind is not very likely, and the radius is not really going to help that in any way. And sure, there's the situations where like people are behind cover and you could use the radius to get people from behind cover, but the situations where you couldn't get them without the radius implant, but you could get them with the radius implant, are very, very few and far between. And even then, it's like, do you really need to blind them? Or are you just blinding them for the sake of blinding them? So, yeah. Cooldown is the safest bet because it's always useful. Between duration and radius, I would go with duration personally. Alright, so yeah. Very interesting hanger. Right off the bat, I see 2 extremely passive guided builds. That's not usually a good idea. Along with a relatively passive Lacewing here. Lacewing in general is not particularly great at being aggressive, so that's not fantastic. You only have one real aggressor. No tanks, so you can't absorb any damage, and you also can't specifically defend a beacon very well. This TENGU kind of just exists to be there. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose, but, some people like to run it, and that's fair enough. For now, let's just run this and kind of see how it goes. Psycho. Alright then. Let's start with... whatever will do the TENGU. It's literally a suicide mission with this thing. There's no chance. Unfortunately, this is a pretty bad map for both my Savant and my Strike Rocket. That is another good reason to not use multiple guided builds like that. Because if you have a bad map for it, then, 2 of your mechs are kind of screwed. Oh yeah, get out of here, nerd. He's got Missile Rack Surge. Get out of here, pal. Bro, what did I just witness? He was just standing there. This Tengu's kind of OP. Oh, and then I get absolutely domed. Okay. Alright. So let's spawn this. Yeah. I need to... Oh, he's got overdriver. That's not good. The freaking killshot bot actually saved me. That's wild. I do not want you. I don't. Okay. We still have... Okay. So freaking... Hellfire brickhouse back there. Bro, I love that. That's great. I like that a lot. Alright, so let's strike this guy. I wasn't hitting his canopy at first. Had to wait until he got a little closer. And you might... Another good reason to use the cooldown on Orion is that the transfer does not work most of the time. I couldn't tell you why, it just doesn't. And so you really just need to keep... You just need to keep using your ability. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Not gonna bother marking him. I will mark you, though. Oh, no. Oh, no. Thankfully, Strike Rocket doesn't have a minimum range. So even in this case, okay. You see, the thing with this is, like, I kind of can't... Oh, there we go. I can't reach down there. Like, I actually can't. Oh, wait, there we go. Thankfully, that's a bot, so he'll do the dumb. And that is why I wanted to... Where did the guy go? It's weird. Is he just hiding? Or did he quit? That's the question. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay, he was hiding. That's why I wanted to make sure that we had the beacon advantage first, just because... Okay. Unfortunately, he's a blockhorn. Because I can't really do much with this. The Graviton would have been even worse. I could have done the Graviton Lace Wing, but... He has Railgun. That's, like, kind of not really a problem, right? Stop that. He's just sitting there. He's just standing there menacingly. Okay. That was a strange interaction. But I will take it. MVP Tengu. Let's freaking go. It's OP, I promise. Okay. The first thing I would do is try to get rid of the extra guided build here. I would get rid of Savant, for as sad as it is. But I do think that Strike Rocket on Solus is better than Orion. If you can manage to put the Strike Rockets on Solus instead, I understand that obviously it's the difference between like the 12s and the 16s. They're not the same weapon. But yeah, if at all possible, I would put the Strike Rocket on Solus. Cooldown into all the Strike Rocket implants, yeah, I'm going to keep that. In terms of the Lace Wing, Stormrack Lace Wing is kind of just one of the most disgusting builds in the game, so obviously if you only have one set of Stormracks and you have to put it, and you want to put it on something, I would go with the Lace Wing over anything else. So let's do that. And we'll equip it basically the same way. Ability distance, cooldown, damage, and reload. Now you could potentially swap this Ember-16 for Revoker-16. If I'm being honest, though, the weaken effect does actually increase the damage that Tengu deals with the ability, and that's pretty nice. But also the spread from Ember Gun kind of helps you hit things more consistently when you're trying to jump around and just kind of escape people. So I don't actually know if Revoker would do better in this case. But if you did use Revoker, you could use like a single 16 or even 2 8s to possibly shred some multi-layers quicker. And then since Revoker's base range is 40 and not 30, you could actually forego the weapon range implant and go with ability damage instead. Overall, that might end up being slightly stronger. In fact, for the sake of argument, I'll use that. So yeah, Revoker damage, ability cooldown, stealth duration. My Revoker 8 is a bit weaker, so if I used 2 8s, it would be doing less damage per second. Honestly, it could even be better to go with double 8s, so I'm gonna go with double 8s. The reason is strictly because of perimeter multilayer, which is the main thing that players use. And the thing with it is, when you're using Revoker, your damage output is divided into 2 sections. The damage that you deal going in and the damage that you deal coming back out. So when you have 2 of them, even though they're weaker, like both of these damage added up is less than a single 16. But I believe, whereas let's say a single Revoker 16 would take 1 layer going in and then 1 layer coming back out, I think it is very possible that the 4 different damage sources from these 2, because each one deals damage going in and coming back out, splitting that damage up into 4 smaller sources makes it more likely that you take down 2 shields and then 2 layers and then an extra little section of a layer. It's entirely dependent on the strength of the enemy mod shield, right? So don't take what I'm saying as like oh, you should do this over this. Kind of feel it out. If you have the option to use both, then I always recommend using both. Try it for yourself. Some things that I say are not particularly accurate because I don't know everything. But then other things that I say are more or less things that work for me or work for most people and aren't necessarily going to work for everyone. So keep that in mind. So we have 2 builds left. In terms of Orion, I would recommend a sniper of some kind. I'm gonna go with Railgun because it's a classic. Damage and reload are both incredibly useful. Shield piercing and cooldown. Now the reason I'm not going for range in this case is because Railgun has 120 meters optimal range and 165 meters maximum. I don't really need the range implant in that case. And in terms of this Nomad build, I will use, let's go with Ember Gun. I could put on the Graviton beams, but I don't think Graviton Nomad's going to be particularly good. It might be able to counter other Nomads relatively well, but I don't think that's a big issue. So let's do this. Cooldown, range, weapon damage, and range. Once again, the perk of using Ember Gun on a mech that deals ability damage is that your ability damage is higher if you apply the weakened status to them. Alright, so this is the hangar that we're dealing with now. Now you still haven't solved the issue of not really having any tanks or any defensive capabilities, outside of maybe the Nomad. Nomad's kind of a tank, and it's a bit more of an effective tank with the Ember Gun rather than Stormrack, I would say. But even still, yeah, not exactly in the best situation. However, I am going to assume that your goal here is not to have a meta-competitive hangar. I'm going to assume that you're just trying to have fun with some different things. But yeah, let's get into another match, see how this goes. Oh, it's a 2v2. Let's go. G-Star and... I got you. Oh, is that a Savant Nomad? Let's go. I took the Savants off of... the Solus, and I'm not even kidding. I considered putting them on the Nomad. I was like, I did take them off of that. Technically, you do have Savants. Savant Nomad was a thing that I used before mods, and it was actually pretty darn good. Alright, sir. Get out of here. Alright. That guy's right there. He's right there. What does he have? Oh. Easy. Ha ha! He has an arachno spot. I mean, freaking go for it, bro. Hornet doesn't do crap. It's like the least impressive weapon I've seen in a long time. Okay. Max Stormrak 12s. He's just missing an implant. That's strange. We don't have that, so I don't want to do anything passive that couldn't help me get the beacon. Yo. Okay. Thanks for the thanks for stepping in, pal. I appreciate you. I need to. Oh, okay. Yeah, nice. I should have marked him first, but is that Hellfire Bastion? Bro, these bots. They're making me want to run all these crazy things. Freaking Savant, Nomad, Hellfire Bastion. I want to. Problem is, nobody wants to watch that. Alright. I got you. There we go. That guy's dead. Ah. If I could have marked him, then I would actually be able to deal additional damage to his shield as well. But thankfully it's a bot, and bots will never stay behind their shields. They'll just walk right out. Because they're dumb. Okay. I would have liked for him to think that I wasn't paying attention, so that maybe he would, okay, well, I'm dead. I'm actually gonna Tengu this. I'm actually gonna Tengu this. Okay, I got you. I got you, buddy. Haha! There's no chance, bro. Freaking triple kill. Killing spree with the Tengu. It's OP, bro. It's OP. Crash me all you want. I gotcha. We'll mess you up. That's crazy, dude. Haha, another Tengu MVP. It's just so OP, bro. It's just so OP. Alright, so I didn't use the Lacewing or the Solus, so let's get into another one. Leviticus. Alright then. This one I can start with the Lacewing. Being able to get up top of there is, that's pretty OP. That is a Blast RPG Hemlock. Those Hemlocks really don't. They really don't know how to use good weapons, do they? They almost use them friggin'. Ah! Ah! Oh my goodness, dude. He had a Helix Rack Surge and he just full sent it. I couldn't tell you why, but he did. Is that a Hellfire Redux? These bots are hilarious, actually. Okay. Get you. That's pod gun. That pod gun actually will get me. That's fine. I want him to fire at someone else first. Okay, now I'll shoot him. Oh dang, bro. The I almost got Blast RPG to death. Okay. That's crazy. Build of champions, no doubt. Alright, well, I mean, I can reach the center with this very comfortably as well. So long as I have bots to spot for me. I'll just do that. Pew 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 pew. Strike Rocket is very fun to use, honestly. Yeah, that was garbage. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just hitting the wall there. Does he have a Disclodger Stalker? That's incredible. That's incredible. I like it. I want one. Alright, let me just... Bro, you gotta stop. It's too funny. It's too funny. You're dead. That Redux is still behind me, isn't it? Guy. Cut that out, dude. Okay, thanks. Jeez, bro. Actually. Okay, so I can fire my blind over this. I just need to stand back a little bit, because it does follow like a sort of slight up and over trajectory. If I did it here, I don't think it... Oh, it does work. Nice, okay. Didn't know that. But it didn't. It might be something else I was thinking of. Probably Hunter's Mark. Hey there, pal. Pew pew, pew 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 pew. He's got blockade. He's cooked. This spot also has blockade. It's fine, don't worry about it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think if I get too close, then it doesn't work, but it's fine. It's fine. There we go. 13. What is that? I wouldn't. Oh, it's a Bastion. Aw. I was gonna kill him. I would have killed him, but... In fact, even if he used his ability, I wouldn't have even... I don't think I could hit his shield if I tried. Not bad, though. 10 kills with just the strike rockets. Alright, so yeah, I would say it is a bit of an improvement. I mean, definitely the Lace Wing. Definitely the Solace. I would argue these three as well. But anyway, yeah, thanks for your hanger. Hopefully I was able to help out a little bit. It's always difficult to know how much I should be changing a hanger based on like what I'm looking at. Like, it's hard to know whether or not somebody's willing to change their mechs or change their weapons, or whether they really want to use certain mechs and weapons. Very difficult to say. The fact that there is a Tengu in here makes me think that probably you're just trying to make Tengu work, which honestly respect. It's not even that bad. Like legit, there's legendary mechs that are worse than that. I'm not even gonna lie. But for anybody else who wants their hanger to be in a future video, all you gotta do is just give me a list of 5 mechs and 5 weapons, similar to the way that this guy did. Keep it as short and as simple as possible. Don't give me pilots or implants or anything like that. I will deal with that myself. But the additional information I would like, that would be helpful if you want, would be to indicate whether or not you are A, free-to-play player, because that lets me know which weapons and mechs are on the table, and B, whether or not you're trying to make a competitive hanger or not. So yeah, 5 mechs and weapons, along with whether or not you're free-to-play and whether or not you're trying to make a competitive hanger or just like a casual fun one. And apart from that, I think that's everything, so yeah, appreciate y'all being here. Take care.